Commuting's a bitch. It's Wednesday, you know what that means. Overdue Doctor Who review time, and we are now up to the episode of Series 3 known as Gridlock. And, you know, this one's an odd one for me for a number of reasons, because I like it. I actually like it quite a bit, but when I actually try to analyze it, there's a lot that is wrong with it, like demonstrably wrong with it. Yet at the same time, I do enjoy it. I think the things that it does right just kind of get me in the right way. So this is the episode where the Doctor takes Martha to New York, or New, however many it is, New York. Which, of course, he did with Rose once before, back in New Earth. And he takes Martha there, and it's very clear to the audience, and then clear not that much further into the episode to Martha, that he's doing kind of a combination of things. He's trying to recapture what he had with Rose, yet at the same time, he also seems to be afraid of having unique experiences with Martha because he'll get less attached that way. That one's not made as explicit, but that's partly my interpretation on that as being a factor. So last time we dealt with sort of the upper echelons of New York, and we met the Duke of Manhattan, and these highfalutin figures. This time we start out at the dregs, way down at the bottom rung, and initially they land in Pharmacy Town, so originally named, where all these vendors, these sort of street vendors, are basically selling moods. You sell a little patch that you put it on and to feel a certain way, and there's a certain amount of manipulation. Obviously, the popular one that they're pushing is happy. But we also see a woman buy forget, so that she will forget her parents, because her parents went to the motorway. And everybody goes to the motorway eventually, and when they do, you don't see them anymore. Now, this whole segment with the mood drugs is kind of the first problem with the episode. There's nothing wrong with the idea. In fact, it's a pretty good idea, and that is kind of the problem. It feels wasted here because it exists really only to ultimately pay off at the end of the episode when we find out why the situation is what it is, how we got here and what happened. And it serves that function. It's not like it doesn't work as an explanation for how we got here, but I feel like this whole idea of people buying, selling, trading moods, states of, actual, very direct and specifically altered states of mind, I think that had a potential to be something more than this. And the other thing is that it doesn't fit thematically with the rest of what's going on and what the rest of the episode is doing. So it's not like a natural marriage to what makes up the bulk of the episode, which is the gridlock, the traffic jam. So Martha gets kidnapped by the carjackers so that they can have 3 people in their car, which gives them access to the fast lane, which sounds good, but really isn't. I'll get back to that. So I really do love the main core premise of this thing, which is literally the traffic jam from hell, where people are waiting years to go just a few miles. You get on the motorway, your destination is, say, 5 miles away. If you get access to the fast lane, you'll be there in 6 years. We meet people who have been on the motorway for over 20 years. And it's a really good, simple sci-fi premise. What's something that everybody can relate to? What's something everybody gets? Traffic. Oh, God, right? Well, let's go big with it. Let's go big and insane. And I like that. I like things that can start from that premise. I think a lot of great genre stuff, be it fantasy, be it sci-fi, be it horror, starts with, what's this thing that people understand? Okay, how do we exaggerate it for the genre we're in? And I enjoy that quite a bit when it's done well. And I do feel, for the most part, it is done well here. It helps that a lot of the other motorists that the Doctor encounters while he's trying to get to Martha are pretty likable folks. Mainly we have Brannigan, who's one of the cat people. And no, I'm not actually going to complain about the cat people all that much this time, because unlike the nuns, the cat nun nurses, Brannigan is really enjoyable. And so the fact that the design of them as a creature, for lack of a better term, I still find to be a lazy choice. I like him. I like his energy. I like his rapport with his wife. And I just enjoy him as a presence, so I don't mind the cat makeup so much. So I think that sort of shows that as much as I complained about the cat nuns back in New Earth, that the fact that they were cats wasn't the core of my problem, but it became a bigger issue for me when there wasn't other things about them that were working. So I was just seeing that as more of a flaw. Whereas here, it's not something that I love, but it's not distracting from what I like about this guy. So that's a really fun performance. And really, they're all good. The carjackers are quite good, and those two are actors who went on to do other stuff since, and I've seen in other stuff. So that's kind of cool to go back and see them. But they're very likable. Again, they have a great rapport. The monsters, the Macra, being down at the bottom of the motorway in the smog, are not needed. The episode just didn't need a monster. And they don't add anything. I think that if they wanted to put Martha in a more immediate sense of danger, there were a lot of other ways to do it. There was mention several times of pirates, being a thing that are on the motorway. You could have had pirates have been the problem. As opposed to these monsters that seem very detached from the proceedings and aren't a natural fit for what's going on. I mean, it's kind of a cool nod because the Macra, the Macra Terror animated recreation is, I think, well, it'll be out by the time this comes out. I think it just got released at the time of recording. So, but, the Macra was a largely forgotten classic Doctor monster. And, I mean, this is a fun enough way to get them in there. But again, they don't serve a purpose and the monsters don't help. It reminds me of the problem that I had with Father's Day and the Reapers, which is that this story is not aided by a monster of the week. In fact, the monster feels shoehorned in and is kind of actively hurting the narrative. And thankfully, it's not as egregious as the Reapers were. I think they were really detrimental to Father's Day. The Macra aren't to that degree, but it's cut from the same cloth. So they do still kind of irritate me because they don't help. They don't assist the story in any way. The stuff at the end with the Face of Boe is one of those things that works better on a rewatch than it does on initial viewing, because the rapport between the two of them, which is very, old friend, but in the context of the show up to this point, they've met twice that we know of. And so, this feels weird and unearned. Of course, though, he drops the bomb, the "You Are Not Alone" bomb, and that'll pay off quite nicely down the road. But, we'll get there. So I think, aside from just the fact that I enjoy the core premise of this whole episode, I think the strongest material is actually probably at the end, where Martha basically confronts the Doctor with the fact that he's not being open with her about who he is, about why he's traveling with her, about why he misses Rose. He's not being honest with her. He's probably not being honest with himself, which he admits to. And I like the way she does. She basically just sits down. She's like, I'm not going anywhere until you talk to me. And it's a nice moment of strength from her. And it actually gets him to open up. I would actually say to a degree that we never saw him do with Rose. I'm not going to go so far as to say he never did it with Rose. I think, they traveled together enough that one could presume he told Rose about Gallifrey with some of the details and to the extent that he tells Martha. But we never saw him do that. So it feels like a nice sort of balm on their pretty rocky relationship up to this point, that he's opening up to her with a greater amount of detail, and certainly far earlier than it probably would have happened with Rose, if it even did happen, because as I said, we didn't see it. So that's a good moment, which again helps. I think I complained in the Shakespeare Code that they I mean, I don't like it as a thing in the first place, but the Martha pining for the doctor got kicked into high gear way too dang soon. And there's a little bit of that here, but I feel like this episode still comes in a good place as far as that relationship goes, because Martha being in such immediate danger and it being so hard for the doctor to get to her again gives him a better appreciation of the fact that he has not bothered to get to know her yet. And it gives her a better appreciation of the fact that she doesn't have any clue who this guy is. And it kind of forces them to try and start to deal with that, which is good for their relationship. I can't remember if that just ends up kind of getting rolled back or just backburnered in the episodes to come, but unfortunately, because the episodes to come is a two-parter that I'm not looking forward to, but that's next week. For right now, that's Gridlock, an episode with a number of really unnecessary and easily fixed problems, and yet I still enjoy it. I mean, the faults are irritating in how simple they are to fix, but I do still enjoy this thing, as cheesy as it is, and maybe that's part of even why I like this one. And also the music's really good in this, and I'm pretty sure it's the first use of all the strange creatures. So whatever your thoughts may be, drop something down in the comments and let's talk about it. A whole bunch of stuff down there to do, because there's buttons, links, the Patreon. It's my birthday this month, so I got my Amazon wish list down there as well, if you're feeling generous. Plus, there's the P.O. box if you want to send me something not from the wish list. I swear I'll stop all this shameless self-shilling once the month of March is over. But for now, why not check it out? Or don't. That's okay too, because at the end of the day, you're the council. I'm just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned.